Abante, it's me, Trina Martinez, your PETmalu host. Today po, andito tayo sa Quezon City para bisitahin ng PAWS Animal Rehabilitation Center. Hi guys! So today po kasama po natin si Ma'am Sharon Yap, Education Officer po dito sa PAWS. Hello po ma'am!
Hi, good afternoon.
So ma'am, can you tell us po a brief history po of PAWS?
PAWS was actually founded by a British missionary. Her name was Muriel J. in 1954.
Yes.
And then our current president, Mrs. Nita Hontiveros Chauco, was one of her youngest volunteer
Okay.
back then. What they only did was to actually raise funds, and then the funds that they would be raising from the stuffs that they made, they would buy food and medication for the stray animals. PAWS as it is right now was re-established by Nita Hontiveros
Okay.
in the early 80s, and the first thing that she actually did was to try to lobby for the
Okay.
Animal Welfare Act because she noticed that from 1950s to the early 80s, there was actually no law protecting
Yes.
the animals. So yun yung unang ginawa niya
That was
when
only a
re-establish
Okay.
PAWS.
So ito naman po yung park po. So PAWS Animal Rehabilitation Center. Kailan po siya na-establish exactly?
This was established in 2007. Common misconception is that this is ours.
Yes po.
The land is not actually ours. We're just renting it from Meralco Foundation.
Oh, okay po. So, what year again po?
2007.
2007. Okay po, so it was said po on your website na you don't do mass rescues. Why is that po?
PAWS believes that when you just rescue without proper spay and neutering, without the proper procedure, like
Yes.
what we have a strict admission protocol.
Yes.
If we do not have space in the quarantine area, we will not take in any additional
Okay.
animal. This is for the protection of the
Yes po.
existing rescues that we have. Now, mass rescuing, it's just a cycle that's ongoing. So we're more after on educating people about spay and neutering. When we do spay and neutering, there is that's the time that you cut the
Yes.
stray animal population and they do not reproduce anymore. Therefore, stop na rin yung rescuing.
So, additional question lang po for that. Ito lang ba po talaga yung main branch ng PAWS?
Yes, this is the only shelter that we
No.
have and the only one that we can
Okay.
afford.
Alright po. So, ano po, paano po yung process ng pagpo-foster?
For fostering, if you have a personal rescue, and as I've said, we're at maximum capacity, you can help us out by fostering the
Yes.
animal. You have a foster care agreement. We only require you to open your house.
Yes.
Parang siya yung extension ng PAWS shelter since nasa maximum capacity na kami. Medication will be shouldered by the shelter.
Okay.
And then if we have the necessary supplies needed by your rescue or your foster, we'll be providing it to you also.
So po, were there cases po na yung mga nag-foster, na-adopt na rin po nila?
Yes, that's what we're always
Okay,
praying
okay.
about. We call
Yes.
it foster fail
Yes.
because they fall in love with their
Yes.
foster animals and eventually they adopt them
Yes.
out.
So, ma'am, what is the advocacy po of PAWS? Or what are the advocacies of PAWS?
PAWS actually our main program is to help help animals in need,
Yes.
and then to educate people about the humane treatment
Yes.
of animals.
Okay. So, bakit po inyo pinagpapatuloy na alagaan din yung mga feral cats? And, kasi di ba po sabi niyo po, like, wala na po space masyado. Pero, kahit po gano'n, like, yun po, yung mga feral cats, nandito pa rin po sila. And you still take care of them.
They're one of the examples of a controlled colony.
Okay.
We know na maraming communities here in the Philippines
Yes.
na maraming feral cats. And they're the best examples na they hunt for us. Somehow nakakontrol yung rat or rodent population. Hindi na kami nagbabayad ng
Really po?
mga pest control. And then, since they're all spayed and neutered, hindi sila dumadami and hindi sila nagiging considered as pest because since hindi sila dumadami, they're well fed and
Yes.
we have naman yung mga rats that they control. So parang andun pa rin yung hunting instincts nila. So hindi sila
Okay.
hindi sila actually nakakasira.
So,
Nakakatulong pa sila.
earlier po kasi sinabi po sa amin na may ear notch po kaya yung mga nasa ears po nila na tattoo.
For indoor cats, if you would look dun sa cattery namin,
po.
they have the tattoo because
Yes.
they're indoor. But
Okay.
for the outdoor cats like Felice here,
For ear
you
notch
will
po.
see the ear notch here.
Okay po.
So para malayo pa lang, since they're feral cats, we know that they've already been spayed and neutered.
So, if like there are new feral cats po na pupunta dito, nilalagyan nyo na po talaga ng, what do you call this po?
Yes.
Yung names po nila.
We try to put them in quarantine
Yes.
first kasi since they're feral cats, we don't know if they have any contagious
Yes.
disease. And then once they're in the quarantine, we try to rehabilitate them. But there are really some cats that are meant to be feral.
Yes.
So if we see that they're stressed out in the common areas and they want to go feral, we let them out.
So, Ma'am Sharon, what can you say po is the best and worst part of the job po?
The best part is seeing the shelter animals get adopted from the worst
Yes.
that they have, no hair,
Yes.
physically abused, and they're actually afraid of humans. So when we approach them, they either front nila is either aggressive sila or they back away nasa corner. And then seeing them bloom into
Yes.
adoptable shelter animals, and then once they get adopted, it's actually bittersweet for us. We all know na yun naman yung objective
Yes po.
namin when admitting an animal is to have them rehabilitated and adopted out into forever homes. Yung worst is when people demand so much from PAWS, not realizing that we're a non-government organization that
Yes
is
po.
volunteer-based. So, maraming nagpo-post sa FB
Yes.
na wala kami daw ginagawa, and then they actually call us and then magre-report ng cruelty. But when the time comes that we want to file criminal charges, magba-back out na sila.
Okay
So,
po.
it's so frustrating for us na they call us and we give them the time to
Yes.
explain everything, only to find out that they will not be
Yes
helping
po.
us in the end.
So, parang, everyday din po marami po kayo reports on Facebook, ha?
Yes, we receive around 30 cruelty
Everyday
reports
po.
every day.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, PAWS po is run po by funds din po and donations, di ba po?
Yes.
So, do you have a message po for the viewers na gusto po mag-donate din?
Aside from donation, the best way that you can actually help PAWS is to have your pets spayed and neutered. Encourage your friends to have their pets
Okay.
spayed and neutered as well. And then if you have extra, you can actually donate to us both in kind and in cash. All our wish lists are posted on the website. It's paws.org.ph.
May mga partnerships din ba po kayo with other organizations po?
We actually have partnerships with companies.
Okay.
Since PAWS is a non-government
Yes.
organization, we actually mount fundraising events.
Okay.
Yung next namin, is it okay?
Yes po, yes po.
So our next events are in October 6. It's the Pet Blessing at
October
SM
6.
Sky Dome.
Alright.
And then the next fundraising event is the Scaredy Cats and Dogs. It will be held at UP Town in Katipunan.
When is that po?
October 27.
Okay, so
So
all October
aside
events.
from donating, you can actually be there at our events and to help us raise more
I
funds.
see po. So besides that po, do you have any other future plans maybe?
None as of the
None.
moment. But yung mga events namin are actually yearly. We
Okay.
have the Bon Appetit.
Okay.
This is in partnership with Vikings.
Okay.
And then we're also the beneficiary yearly of the fun run by Pet Express.
Oh, really po?
Yes,
Okay.
and then the pet blessing, and then the scaredy cats and dogs.
What exactly happens po dun sa Vikings event?
Vikings is it's the only time when Vikings open their doors to pets.
Okay.
So there's a buffet for both humans and pets.
Okay po.
So if you have time, it's usually scheduled on January or February.
Okay po. I'll take note po. So last question, ma'am. Do you have a message po to the viewers po?
Our message is to actually take in your pet, treat them as a lifetime commitment and as part of your family. And part of being a responsible pet owner is having them spayed and neutered, prolonging their life and giving them the good quality of life.
Thank you so much po,
Thank
Ma'am
you.
Sharon. Hi guys, so today kasama po natin si Ma'am Mitzi Cruz, isang Senior Volunteer and Humane Education Officer dito sa PAWS. Hi ma'am!
Hi, Katrina.
Hello. So ma'am, can you explain us po the process po of adopting here in PAWS?
Well, we have over 300 animals here. Kung gusto nilang maka-adopt, first they need to meet and greet the animals for them to see kung sinong cat or dog yung magmamatch sa personality nila, sa lifestyle nila and all that. And once they have decided, okay, I like this cat or I like this dog, then they have to make 3 separate visits to the shelter to spend time with that animal. It's their chance to see kung talaga nga pag nababagay yung cat or dog na yun sa kanila. And if kung kailangan nilang magbago ng choice or maybe they decide na they can't adopt this animal pala, then they have the chance to make that decision. And it's also our way of screening the applicants. We do at least 2 separate interviews in addition to the visits.
Okay.
And it's because these animals are already victims of cruelty and neglect. So we just need to be 100% sure that they are going to good homes.
So regarding rescuing po, is there any guidelines for that po?
Rescuing animals, yes, we prioritize those who are victims of cruelty and neglect because PAWS files charges against these animal offenders. There's this misconception kasi that PAWS can just pick up stray animals. So we don't do that. It's the job of the city pound. So if there are animals na yun na nga victims sila ng cruelty and neglect, and the citizen reporting this incident is prepared
Yes.
to execute an affidavit,
Yes.
then PAWS can move forward with the case. And that's most of the animals that we have here at the shelter. And there are also animals na they are in dire situations, like nasagasaan sila or malala na yung sitwasyon nila. We can also help them, but we need the help of the reporting citizen as well. They need to be able to foster. Kasi nga, there's not enough space at the shelter to just accommodate each and every rescue request.
So po, to be clear lang po with the viewers, you don't do mass rescuing. But,
No, we don't. Yeah.
so ano po, like, how do you get the animals po? Paano nyo po sila na-rescue?
Well, the organization is composed of volunteers.
Okay.
So, as you can see, we are severely
Yes.
undermanned. Kung meron mang mga rescues na kailangan isagawa,
Yes.
then we need to check pa with our volunteers who's available, who's near the area, who has transportation. So, because we are all volunteers, we're not obligated na para pang taxpayer money, or you
Yes,
need to do this rescue. No, it's not like that. Really, we rely on volunteers who also have full-time jobs. Some of them are students pa nga. So, yeah. And we will just hope na merong available and merong malapit sa area to deploy.
So, do citizens report to you po?
Yes, I don't know if you've seen our social media accounts.
Yes.
We get tagged all the
On
time.
Facebook po.
Tapos the phone calls, we
Yes.
get around 20 phone calls na yun lang, pa-rescue lang.
Yes po.
So this is the reason why we need to prioritize them because we can't accommodate each request.
So, how do you screen that po? Paano po? Sino po yung mga nakukuha talaga?
Prioritize talaga yung mga victims of cruelty and neglect because it's a way for us to teach them people, especially the animal offenders, that animal cruelty is a crime. So if the reporting citizen is prepared to file a case, then PAWS will be behind them 100%. So that's what we prioritize.
So, yung dito rin po, may mga volunteers din po. So, what is the process for that po? For mga volunteers, pwede ba po walk-in or...
All volunteers should attend the orientation, so we do that quarterly.
Yes.
The reason is because kailangan muna nilang maging familiar sa mga policies. They need to be familiar with the shelter and all that. If you want to help out and you just want to visit the shelter, walk-in ka lang, there are several options naman. People can do feeding, animal feeding, or they can do shelter cleaning. It's actually a group activity. It's fun for one-time group activity lang para sa mga gusto mag-volunteer and can't commit to attending the orientation or doing it long-term.
May nakita rin kasi po kami earlier, parang there were people walking dogs. Kasama din po yun sa pag-volunteer?
Yes, walking the dogs because we need to socialize them
Yes.
kasi we need to get them ready for adoption. So walking the dogs and cuddling the cats, even cuddling the cats is part of volunteer
Okay.
tasks din. But there are some dirty tasks din naman
Yes,
that
po.
you need to be prepared to handle cat poop and dog poop. You need to be prepared to wash bowls, or baka kailangan mo lang magtapo ng basura. So it really is a group effort maintaining the shelter.
So, ma'am, when are the orientation usually po? Saan po yung ginaganap?
The orientation is held here at the shelter.
Okay po.
It's quarterly. The next one is in November.
November.
So that's November, February, and then May, August. So sometimes.
Mga gano'ng kadami po usually yung mga uma-attend na volunteers for that?
Sa orientation, we get around 150
Oh, wow,
or 200. Madaming uma-attend.
Opo.
So kung sa orientation attendees lang, there's a lot of them. So the question now is sino yung
Yes po,
who's really
mistake,
prepared to
yes.
devote the time and the effort to come back regularly and
Yes.
help out.
Okay po. So, regarding the facilities naman po, kasi napansin po namin like, meron pong clinic, may ICU, merong quarantine. Like, can you explain po to the viewers kung ano po yung mga meron dito?
You mentioned quarantine. I think I'd like to point that out
Yes.
first and foremost because the quarantine area is where all newly admitted animals go.
Yes.
And when we say to people, the shelter is full, that's exactly what we mean. So if there are 15 kennels lang kunwari sa quarantine area ng dogs, and we say puno na ang quarantine area, there's no more space, that's because we can't pick up new dogs
Yes.
and ihalo sila sa mga matagal ng residents. They need to first we need to first make sure that there are no diseases na nakakahawa. They need to be neutered, they need to be kapon, and vaccinations need to be updated. And the same thing with canine quarantine. So we have about 50 to 60 na cats lang na naka-accommodate sa quarantine. And then the surgery room is for spay and neuter
Okay.
surgeries.
Okay.
So it's open to the public.
Yes.
They just need to book an appointment with us. We do surgeries weekly. And then, yun nga lang, the consultation, kasi na-mention mo din yung clinic, consultation is currently closed
Okay.
until further notice. It's because we don't have a regular vet at
Okay.
the moment.
So, for now po, wala pa pong spay and neutering dito?
No, we have spay and neuter. Yung clinic
Consultation
consultations lang ang wala.
Okay po. So, how about the memorial wall po? Paano po yung process for that?
The memorial wall, yeah, you can parang rent a tile. We will design a memorial
Yes,
for your
ma'am.
beloved pet for 2,500. You can keep that tile for 5
Okay,
years.
okay.
Yes, and it will be maintained for as long as the shelter stands. I mean, it's renewable.
Okay. So, ano po, regarding the rescues po. So, if may mga bagong, like marami po na-adopt, pwede ulit po kayo mag-rescue. Ganun lang po yun.
Yes, that's the goal is to
Okay.
find loving homes for all of them.
Okay.
But more importantly, the goal sana is for us not to have to rescue
Yes.
anymore. So it's not, sige, magpa-adapt na tayo so
Yes.
we can rescue more. That's
Yes.
really not the objective. But that's what's happening recently. And as long as people are willing to, give our homeless or shelter animals a home rather than buying sa mga
Yes,
breeders or
ma'am.
sa shops, then mas marami tayong matutulungan.
So, lastly po, do you have a message po to the viewers who want to adopt?
Yes po, well, the message is, yun na nga, sana unahin nilang mag-adopt from the shelter, from the city pound. Wag nang tangkilikin yung mga breeders o yung mga pet shops because it perpetuates pet homelessness. Diba, ginagawang business yung buhay ng mga hayop. And most especially kung magde-decide kayo na mag-adopt, be responsible pet owners. Being a responsible pet owner includes pagpapakapon ng mga pets because it's not enough na pinapakain mo yung mga spoiled nga yung mga animals mo, nakadamit pa yan, pero hindi naman sila nakakapon. That is not responsible pet ownership.
Okay po. Thank you so much po, Ma'am Mitzi, for your time po. Sana po may
You're welcome.
natutunan tayo from Ma'am
Sana nga
Mitzi.
po may natutunan yung
Yes
mga
po.
nanonood.
O, diba? PETmalu ang PAWS. Sana po ay na-inspire tayo para mag-adopt ng mga rescue cats and dogs. I-follow niyo po kami sa aming social media pages at kung gusto niyo pong may feature ang inyong mga pets, maaari niyo kaming i-message or mag-comment down below. Muli, ako po si Trina Martinez, ang inyong PETmalu host. See you next week mga kabante!